Quilts are flying, colors splash. Pins and patches, stories grow. Stitching secrets we all know. Patchwork of laughter sewn in time. A spool of joy on every line. We chat, we sew, we laugh, we thrive. Steven and Walter, our life. Sewing tales with every square. Buttons falling everywhere. A crooked seam, but who will care? Iron presses lined so neat. Friendship's quilt can't be beat. Patchwork of laughter sewn in time. A spool of joy on every line. We chat, we sew, we laugh, we thrive. Steven and Walter, our life. Sewing tales with every square. Buttons falling everywhere. A crooked seam, but who will care? Iron presses lined so neat. Friendship's quilt can't be beat. Patchwork of laughter sewn in time. A spool of joy on every line. We chat, we sew, we laugh, we thrive. Steven and Walter, our life. Our life. Stitch by stitch they weave the tale. A patchwork life where laughs prevail. Patterns clash, but who can tell? Quilted chaos suits us well. Steven and Walter live on air. Threading humor, they don't care. Teaching, chatting, pulling strings. Life's a quilt of funny things. Pins and needles, jokes abound. Sewing secrets they have found. Fabric flying all around. It's a show where joy is bound. Steven and Walter live on air. Threading humor, they don't care. Teaching, chatting, pulling strings. Life's a quilt of funny things. Pins and needles, jokes abound. Sewing secrets they have found. Fabric flying all around. It's a show where joy is bound. Steven and Walter live on air. Threading humor, they don't care. Teaching, chatting, pulling strings. Life's a quilt of funny things. Pins and needles, jokes abound. Sewing secrets they have found. Fabric flying all around. It's a show where joy is bound. Pins and needles, jokes abound. Sewing secrets they have found. Fabric flying all around.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. And we are live. And I'm just looking at the monitor to make sure that things are going through okay with all of that. And Should be able to tell here in a second. Yes, it is. Okay, everything's working. That's good. And let me get this off the screen, which you people can't see, but I can see, and I don't want to see that. Oops.
Uh-oh.
No, we're still here. That's just the magic mouse moving things around like it does, like magic.
Magic, the way you handle electronics.
Yeah, right, bite me. With all that. So let's see. Hello, everybody. Welcome. And I'm sure there'll be a few more people coming in, but let's see who's here right now. Number one today is Nina. And right on her heels is Inez. And Caroline is here as well. Suzanne. And Cheryl, or Sherry, I mean, sorry. Sherry from Montana is here. And Susan. And Betty Kennedy is here, and Mary Jane, and Donna is here. Hi, Donna. And
hello, Donna.
And Lance is here as well. Lance, how was the quilt show you went to yesterday? Kathy in Regina is here. She says it's cool in Regina. It's not bad here now. It's rained most of today, but we went out for a walk about an hour or so ago, and it wasn't raining, and it's a balmy 6 Celsius. The two Karens are here. Karen Lyles from Vancouver. She said Vancouver, USA. She says it's sunny and 60 there. Karen is here. Our Karen, as we like to refer to her, Karen in Ontario. Oh, I wish this darn thing, they bug you all the time on the. You guys can't see it. But there's things that pop up on our screen from YouTube that we do not want. Mm-hmm. Sue's here. Hi, Sue. She says thanks for productive sew day yesterday. Yeah, I think it was fairly productive. I got a lot done. And Dubrovka and Al are here from Timmins, and we heard on the weather report the other day you guys got quite a bit of snow up there in the last day or two. Gloria is here, and Mary. She says greetings from 84 degrees and sunny Virginia. Whoa, bikini weather. Holly is here from dreary Kingston.
I think you have probably about the same weather we're having.
Yeah, it's kind of dull and gray here.
Dull and gray.
Candace is here, and Lance says it was better than he expected, that quilt show. That's good. Glenna says, hello, thank you for hosting this Saturday Sew Day. You are welcome, Glenna. And Chris is here as well, so I'm sure a few more other people will be joining us, like Ruth is here as well. Hello, Ruth.
Hi, Ruth.
And yeah, so let's jump into things. So what have I been working on? Well, you've already seen it, but I'm going to show it again. If you saw So Chatty on Friday, you've already seen it. My finished Indigenous quilt, Healing Waters. And that's the one that I've written a pattern for. And
showing it down here.
Oh, sorry. No, it's not. I always forget to hit the button. Maybe you as could be my producer and you could hit all the buttons, kind of a thing. That would help a great deal. Anyways, here it is, Healing Waters. I have the pattern ready to go. The pattern will not be released until the day of the retreat, and that's going to go out to those of you that will have signed in for the retreat. This is part of your virtual swag bag. And then after the retreat is over and the next week, I will release it for general public. It will be free. I don't charge for my patterns. And you know why I don't charge for my patterns? Because
then you can't complain.
Exactly. If you find a mistake in it or a better way to do it, then I'll say, well, good for you. Because it didn't cost you anything. Yeah. There's method to my madness. So that is done. I am happy with the way it turned out, though. I was a little worried about the fabrics being too busy, but I think they work okay with it all. And it's quilted. And I did a quilt that would add, or quilting that would add a little texture, but not take away from the, make it overly busy. Have the quilting pattern fight with the fabric pattern. So that's done. And this is done too. I showed this on So Chatty. This is going to be a gift for our next door neighbors. This is the African Safari table runner that I've been working on. And they went to South Africa and came back recently. And so they're going to get. But someone asked me yesterday on the pop-up sew day, when I was going to give this to them. They're not going to get it until we come back from Japan, and we don't go to Japan until May, because we look after each other's properties. When they go away, we look after their stuff, you know, which they go away in the winter, so that means Walter has snow to shovel. When we're going away, there shouldn't be any snow. There might be some grass, maybe, for them to cut. But either way, so might see if there's some little thing I can pick up in Japan for them as well, and we'll have them over for charcuterie.
Yeah, because when we travel pretty light, especially these days, and we're not planning. We don't plan to take a lot of stuff back with us because we just like traveling light, and we don't need a lot of other junk.
Yeah,
unless we see something we
really want.
There is a little bit of extra room in our backpacks.
Yes, our backpacks. They're good backpacks. They have lots of pockets with them. But yeah, we travel very light, and some people have asked, well, you're going to take an extra suitcase for fabric and stuff.
We've never done that.
We've never done that. No.
I mean, if it's stuff we can get here, why lug it with us?
Yeah.
And even then, if it's special stuff, it has to be really special stuff there for us to have to lug it back. So
yeah. So yeah, we'll have a little room for that, but we're not going to lug a whole lot of stuff. So yeah, I mean, we're not going to Japan to shop for fabric.
No, we're not. We'll go visit.
We're going to check it out.
I know where I've looked up where there is a special section in Tokyo that is the fabric area, and I've looked that up, and I know where it is, and I know how to get there. So
yeah, Walter's figuring out all the transportation and everything. But Japan is very, very efficient, from what we have found in our exploration of it through YouTube videos and Walter's online stuff and everything like that, and what other people that we've heard of that have been to Japan too. I haven't heard one person say they hate it, so that's good to know. Little worry about food. I will try.
We have a food
sushi
tour booked so far.
Yeah, and there's sushi
and,
on it.
First, there is sushi and beef on it, so there'll be something there.
I'm not a fan.
I mean, we're not that. Well, I'm not that big on fish, so.
Well, I hate fish. Period. You can.
I can tolerate it better than he can.
But
so.
Yeah, so that's but never say never. I mean, I have never ever had sushi. So when in Japan, do as the Japanese do. So we'll see. But anyways, yeah, so we got on to Japan here. So just another thing that I'm working on. Okay, I had other plans for this. This is a table topper. I saw it on Embroidery Library, and I thought it was kind of pretty. Well, I picked the colors for it. I didn't use their colors. It's in the hoop project, so on my embroidery machine. And my initial thought was I would make a bunch of these, put them all together, and it would be a large table topper for our coffee table upstairs that's round. But this takes a long time to make, and the size of this is only about 12.5 inches across, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 pieces that you have to stitch out, and then you have to sew those 9 pieces together.
Yeah.
It's very, very time consuming, and I'm not so sure if it's worth that much effort. I mean, I like it as a single thing. I think if I was to actually do it, I'd probably have to do 5 of these to get it, like one in the center and then one around each quadrant.
And they wouldn't necessarily all fit together properly.
Well, there'd be they would be holes, sort of, like, because you sew them. So, and then there's the whole problem of putting a backing on it and then binding. I probably do the flip it inside out kind of thing and back again for that. In that case, I don't think it's going to get any bigger. I think I may back this one.
It's a nice doily.
Yeah, it's a nice doily. Yeah. But I enjoy making these things, but if it's going to take, it took me to make this several days of it going. So, because each little piece takes you almost an hour. So, and you got 9 of them. So, do the math. kind of a deal. But
nine
anyways,
hours.
yeah, yeah, okay, fine. Embroidery math hard. Yeah, really. There's always a smart ass in the room, isn't there? And you're it. So let me go back to us here, and let's
Somebody's got to be smart.
ha ha. Well, it's not you. Okay, I can't get that off that screen. I'm looking for my cursor. Cursor moves too fast.
Slow it down.
Oh yeah, bite me. Okay, let's see who's got things to say here. Backing up because we've had a few people pop in since we last checked. Chris is here, and Ruth, I said that. Grant's here. Tamela is here, and Pam from Minnesota is here as well. Donna says it's stunning. Thank you, Donna. Pat is here as well. Thank you, Pat, for the compliment. Ines says it's beautiful. I guess you're talking about the African one. And Betty Kenny says, beautiful quilt. Love it now that it is together. I really love it. Great job. Well, thank you. And Donna says you can always ship home. I do. From Japan.
Well,
that would cost.
I mean, we're allowed two full suitcases each. So, but I mean, we're not 2 check suitcases each, but we're not.
No,
we don't do when we travel places. We don't. I don't care how cheap it's going to be. It's not worth it for me to drag it with me.
You see, we are men.
Yeah.
I know that the ladies like to shop wherever they are. We like to look, but not really shop.
I mean, we know other people that go places and they bring back tons and tons of stuff, but we don't do that. We don't even do duty free or anything like that. Like, I mean, I'm not, if I save $10 on a bottle of booze, I'm not bringing it back. No, I don't care. I'll pay $10 more when it's here.
And when we were younger and first traveling, we did bring back some things. Still not armloads, but we brought back more. But not anymore. Because you know what happens? You go on one of these vacations, you see some little gitchy thing, you bring it home, you sit it somewhere on a shelf or in a cupboard, and you have to dust it.
Yeah. I mean, even before we've started traveling with backpack last year, and even before that, we always only took a medium suitcase with us, one medium suitcase, and most of the time it was half full. So on the last couple of trips we took backpacks for a 14-day vacation, and even that, my backpack's half full. I take it.
Well, Walter likes to throw out his clothes, as you well know.
So anyway, so like it but I mean, there was still room to take a few things with a couple of meters of fabric with us. But I'm not taking more than that unless I see something really, really that I must have. Then I'll go out and buy another bag, and then we'll just take it with us. Put it in storage, and like in Japan, there's tons of places where you can store stuff.
Yeah, they have them in their convenience stores and places like that. So if you're, early to a place before your hotel room is ready, you can store these. Like I said, it's from everything I've seen so far and read, a very efficient society. They think of everything. So,
Yeah, I mean, if you were traveling in Japan, you had huge suitcases, you're not allowed, you can't really take them on the train because they're not designed, the bullet trains are not designed for large suitcases. You have to get a special seat that will accommodate the large suitcase.
You have to reserve it.
You have to reserve it in advance. But what they do have is they have a service where you can check your suitcase in, and for a fee, they will ship it to your next destination. And it only costs about $25 to do that. So
you told me 20.
Well, it's 20, 25.
Well, is it 20 or is it 25?
I don't know.
Well, apparently not. You just make it up. I don't know.
It's 2,000 yen.
How much is a yen?
1,000 yen's about $9. So yeah, it's about $20.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I have to think in yen when we're over there. But anyways, yeah. But also, when we were younger and we traveled around, I took a lot more clothes. And most of the time, I didn't need that.
Most of the time, you didn't wear all of it.
No. So we have learned. over the years how to pack relatively light, and and it's good because
And we only take one pair of shoes.
yes. Again, not ladies. But now you made me forget what I was going to say. I was going to say that oh yeah, the way we travel too, the last few trips especially, we take public transportation now. We take like the subways, the trains, all that kind of stuff. So you don't want to be lugging a suitcase on that kind of transportation. So that's why these backpacks work really well for it. And I mean, we have two. We have our main backpack each, which are still not huge. When we say backpacks, we're not talking something that's got a sleeping bag attached to it and pots and pans and like you're
It's
going.
about the size of a carry-on
Yeah.
suitcase.
And then we have a little sort of another tiny backpack kind of thing, almost like a crossbody bag, but it's not quite that. That if for day trips and things, might take that. It holds,
A jacket.
an umbrella kind of a thing, and it's very lightweight and very lots of little compartments on it.
So I mean, technically, we could take our backpacks on the flight and just put it in the overhead cabinet. But we usually check them because we can't be bothered lugging them around.
Well, because you also get all those people who, get right in there up there and they fill a whole compartment because supposedly their carry-on is a suitcase, but they call it a carry-on. Although the airlines are starting to cut down on that. They're making people make it, if it doesn't fit in that little thing they've got for showing you size, they make them check them. But then the trick is now what people do is they know that if the airline will say as it's about to board and that, now if anybody we need I don't know, we're fully booked. So if anybody would like to volunteer to check their carry-on for free, they do that. And there's a lot of people that just wait that out so they don't have to pay the extra charge with it. But you take your chances because we've seen other people, they're stopped and they go, yep, you're going to have to check that. And they charge them for it. So yeah, modern flying, it's not what it was back in, the early days when you see old black and white films where they're dressed to the nines and eating off of China, So, well, we don't go first class. No. So let's see. A few people more came in. What are people saying? Jen is here. Dubrovka says they have snow for sale. No, she says it's free. Get rid of it. And S says, did the price of your ticket go up with the cost of gas?
Well, we've already bought and paid for the
Yeah.
tickets. I'm not sure if the clause is in a airline that says they can charge us extra, but we haven't heard yet. So
No, I don't think they can.
I don't think they don't usually. I don't think.
No, because we paid full amount up front months ago for the flight because they were having a sale. So we got it for a good price. And that was before all this stuff has happened. Candace says, my old boss would take older undershirts and stuff that he would throw away on a trip so he can have room to bring back purchases. Well, that's what Walter does.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. I get out of the room real quick in the morning for the housekeeping comes by because they're going to find Walter's underwear in the garbage.
I found out today you can actually rent clothing while you're in Japan.
You can?
Yeah.
Rent? Can you rent underwear?
I don't know.
Slightly used? I don't know. Okay, so they do everything there. Oh, M's here. Hi, M. Jeannie's here as well. And, oops, everything popped up on me. Candace says, I'm a picky eater, so no sushi for me. I found plenty of things to eat in Japan. That's good to know. Is that because, Candace, do you like fish at all? Like, I am not a fish eater. I do not like fish. So, yeah. And I am a little worried to a certain extent about the food. I mean, we've done some research and stuff, and they have some interesting things that aren't fish-based. So...
But I'd like to do this. We're doing a tour.
We're doing a tour and a food tour.
A food tour, and I'm gonna try some things, different things that are out of my comfort zone.
I'm gonna try it. What's the worst that can happen? I throw up on top of everybody in the whole room. No. Andy's here. Hi, Andy. Mary's here as well, and she says, when are you going to Japan? We fly out May the 10th, and we're gone for a couple of weeks. Kim is here from snowy Nova Scotia, she says. Arda is here from sunny San Diego, and Teresa is here as well. Donna says, that's good way in Japan. You're right. I'm not a shopper per se. I just buy special foods and wines if found to share with friends. Yeah, we don't usually buy any kind of food products to bring back from anywhere we are. Well, first of all, I guess if it's all completely sealed and it isn't on like the banned list, you can bring it.
We don't usually bring like alcohol with us or anything like that, because I just don't want a bottle to smash or,
well, yeah.
And I mean, duty free, I don't think it's worthwhile unless it's something that you can't get. But even then, I have to think twice. Like, we went to Holland and there was some particular brand of liquor I wanted to try there, which I never did, which is something my dad drank. And I saw it in the duty free, but I thought, nah, I can't be bothered bringing it back.
Yeah. Pam says the seating on the buses didn't seem to be designed for American bodies. Oh, the pain after an hours-long day trip. Well, yeah, because in generally speaking, Japanese do tend to be a little bit shorter, but I don't worry about that.
Yeah, like, I mean, when I booked the hotel rooms, I booked the rooms with 2 single beds, as opposed to a double bed. But their double beds look like they're not as wide as our double beds.
So yeah, I mean, it's probably an advantage to be short, and I am. Rachel says, evening, don't think I'd want to be renting clothes. No, that doesn't appeal to me either.
But I mean, as long as they're clean.
Well, yeah, but
I mean, I don't know. That doesn't really appeal to me.
No.
I'd rather buy something cheap and throw it out. But...
Yeah. Well, who knows what these clothes are like?
Yeah,
rent clothes. I've never heard of that. But different place, I'm sure. Okay, so let's see. So you saw what I was working on. What are you working on?
I still have that shirt I'm doing, but I haven't.
I haven't gotten very far.
Well, I got busy doing income taxes today.
Yeah, tis the season. So do you have to pay anything?
No, I get $1,000 back.
Oh, why is it every year you get money back and I have to pay?
Because I paid too much income tax.
Oh, well, I paid extra, and I had them take from my pension extra this year because I paid last year too, and I still have to pay $400. How much is it exactly?
I think it's $429 something.
But anyways, I kind of anticipated that I probably would. And you know, it's not like I'm bringing in a whole bunch of money. Like, it's not like I have major investments or anything. What are you doing? I'm not a rich boy.
I did your income tax. I know how much money you brought in.
Well, I was a professional and I have a really good pension plan.
Yeah, wow.
Well, you could have been that too, but no, you went to college. No, I'm just joking. No, I'm just joking. Okay, so you're not working on anything. Sure. All right.
Is it in Japan? No, they don't have squat toilets. They have toilets that spray all over the place.
I'm looking forward to trying one of their toilets.
They have Japanese toilets.
Oh yeah. First of all, you walk into the cubicle and the toilet opens up for you automatically. And the seats are heated. And not only that, but there's all these buttons, except they're all written in Japanese, so heaven only knows I may get a colonoscopy while I'm there.
Actually, apparently on the street they have public toilets that are what they call see-through toilets. And
see-through toilets?
Yeah, what it is all the windows, you can see right into the bathroom. All the windows are there, right? And then when you go in and lock the door and that, all the windows cloud over so that you can't see them.
Oh, is that so you know if there's somebody in there? Or
you know that the toilet's free.
Yeah.
But when you go in to use it, the windows will cloud over so you can't see.
Well,
inside.
they also, some of those ones that are out in the street, I saw a video, they are self-washing. They basically, the whole cubicle gets sprayed down and everything in water and all dried and everything for the next customer. So yeah, but these Japanese toilets also, they kind of like dry you off and spritz and do all kinds of fun things. It could be a real experience. We are thinking seriously about renovating one of our bathrooms.
Ooh, that's an idea.
Japanese toilet. I
We
think
may-
they're quite expensive.
We may
but
want one.
we may want one. I don't know. Quite an experience, I guess.
No, the squat toilets. We went to China.
China, yeah.
And in China, they have squat toilets. But they do have places where they have Western toilets. So,
Yeah.
But if you're in a hotel in China, at least the ones we stayed in,
Yeah.
the hotel had regular toilets.
They were regular, yeah. Mind you, we were on a tour. We were North Americans, you know, so things
So they
were
booked North American rooms.
yeah, they for that. Bruce says we did all right because of Trump's big beautiful bill, but I told my husband we should refuse it because our children and grands will be paying it. Oh, okay. All right. So yeah. What's coming up? All right, let's talk about what's coming up. Well, there's Wednesday sew days with me as per usual on Wednesdays. Links in the show notes. We just had a pop-up sew day yesterday, and we had, I think there was at the height of it, I think we may have had about 20, a little more than 20 people on there at one point in time, which was a good group. Like people can come and go as they please. So, and I think people got things done, and I think some people got enabled to buy things and whatnot. I think I enabled a couple of people, myself as well. That happens on pop-up sew days. So next pop-up sew day. Well, there probably won't be one until... Holy crap. There might not be another pop-up sew day. There might be one just before we go to Japan, because we have the retreat in April. So, and that's coming up pretty soon. Talk more about that in a second. So yeah, next pop-up might not be until into about the first week of May for that. So when I know, you'll know. I'll let you know. Now the past week, if you didn't see the videos I put out on Monday morning coffee with me, talked about plug and play with 3D printers. More and more people are buying 3D printers, and more manufacturers are putting out so many new models of them. They all do kinds of things. It's extremely confusing if you're just entering the market for a 3D printer, and they're not all the same kind of thing, and they are not like a toaster. Some are close to plug and play, but some are not. You know, the ones I own, the Bamboo, they're fully assembled. You pull them out of the box, you take out all the packing crap in them, and you're up and you're printing within the first 15 to 20 minutes of getting it out of the box. But there's other ones that well, a lot of them don't need assembly anymore, because a lot of the manufacturers are getting on the wagon that they realize if people are going to buy and they want to be competitive, you've got to have it all together for them. But there's still a learning curve, and there's still things that can happen with them. So they're not quite at the point now where you go, bing, you have to do bing, 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 bong for it. But they are getting better all the time. So I talked about that, plug and play and problems that you could have with them, and how to sort of troubleshoot if you do have a problem. So that was Monday. Now, I think I took it out of the video. I realized when I was editing the video that I had said that this coming Monday was going to be Monday Morning Coffee live. It is not. And that one will be the following week, because it's going to be the last Monday of every month. I will actually do Monday Morning Coffee as an actual live at 8 a.m. But not this week coming. It will be the usual pre-recorded. Now on the Idiot Quilter, I talked about quilt pattern headaches, and I am focusing on the Alaska quilt. Or as I affectionately call it, the quilt from hell. And I've had several of those in my time. I was going to do, as I work on the quilt. I was going to do a video for each stage of it, kind of a thing, like for each block, sort of like a tutorial. I have changed my mind. What it's going to be is my journey through this quilt. So in another week or so, I will start producing or putting up videos showing you, like with each block, what new fresh hell I am going through with this. But it's now a challenge. I am going to make this quilt. It may not be done by next month, probably not. It may be a while, but I am going to do this quilt. But I'm not really totally enjoying it yet. I keep looking at the final product and going, it'll be worth it. And a few people have told me who have done the quilt and obviously did not have the hell that I had with it, or they're lying to me, which happens. A lot of times I find that out. Somebody says, oh yeah, it's not a problem, it's a breeze, you get through it, it's great, it's not a problem once you get going. Then I start mentioning all the problems and I go, yeah, I had that problem too. Oh yeah, well, what was it? So anyways, I'm going to show you the problems. I'm going to talk about it. Not necessarily to discourage anybody from actually doing it, but just more or less as a, well, you might find that this is a little bit more than you thought you were getting into. So anyways, I talked about that on Idiot Quilter this past week. And we also talked about on So Chatty, we're doing a series on the Accuquilt system because that was requested that we do. So the week before we gave an overview of the Accuquilt system. This past week, I talked about the basics of how it's set up, how, cutting fabric. Now, this week on So Chatty, we're going to talk about combining Accuquilt dies with your embroidery machine and how Accuquilt themselves do provide some embroidery files for certain applique dies. And I'm going to show you how they want you to do it, and then I'm going to show you how I do it. So that's this week coming up. And yeah, so those are all the things we have going. And let's see, do we have a few more people pop in? Walter, or Inez says, Walter, are you interested in the printers?
Yes and no. I'm not interested enough to buy my own.
Why would you? We have 3.
Yeah, I know. I'm not really interested. I let Steve do the printing. I've offered, I might look at CAD stuff at one point, but I'm not interested enough to do it myself.
After he masters free motion quilting on Lucy, then I'll start working on him to master CAD, and so he can design things I want.
It's a piece of technology. I like it, but it's not gripping me to do it, so it's not.
What does grip you?
I worked my whole life in technology, and
you didn't 3D print.
No, I didn't, but I did enough things in technology that unless you can show me something that I'm going to make that really benefits me.
Well, I just made you something
yesterday. Yeah, I know, but I just said, okay, you can make me one of those.
Yeah, I say to him, I see these prints and that, and I go, would you have any use for this? And there was one that came up, and it was a simple little thing, but what it is I don't know what you would call it.
It holds a washcloth.
A micro
cloth. And it's a stick with a pad on the end of it, and it's designed so that when you're washing the windows in the inside of your car, that part that you can't get to at the part at the bottom of your windshield that is just above your dash, it's really hard to clean, that it gets down in there.
So he was all excited about that, so I made him one of those with it. So yeah, there are practical prints, and if you've been watching Monday Coffee, my new format kind of a thing that used to be my vlog, well, I do focus a lot on the Monday ones on 3D printing. more or less. But I focus on it, like there's tons of videos on YouTube about 3D printing, but a lot of them tend to focus on the more technical aspects or the business aspects. Like a lot of people have businesses now that they run on 3D printing. I focus more or less on
the hobby side.
Yeah, the hobby side. Like, what am I printing, and why am I printing it, and why to do it? And a lot of times I print things simply because I want to see how they'll turn out. I don't necessarily have a practical use for it. Like, how many dragons do you need? But they're cute. So yeah, and I hate to admit it, but I do throw out prints. I mean, after I've had them for a while, they start to accumulate. I'm not putting them on display. This room is full of 3D prints. In fact, on Monday, I'm taking you on a tour of where 3D prints that I have around the house. So you'll see all of that kind of thing. But yeah, now I know, environmentally speaking, 3D printing does produce a lot of garbage. I mean, printer poop. Okay, you've heard me talk about the printer poop. When you have one of the machines like I do that changes colors automatically, it has to purge and it drops out poop. And what do you do with the poop? Some of you, when I was, having a draw once a month on our live before, everything became like a major loan to mail anything in Canada or across the border and all that stuff. I was sending everybody a little bag of printer poop along with their gift as a bit of a joke, but also to get rid of it. And I've looked for creative ways to use that poop. Some people melt it down, or try to melt it down, but you have to remember too, this stuff can be a little toxic. Well, it
can give off toxins.
It can give off,
especially if you're melting.
Yeah, it hasn't affected me. Yeah, no. And in fact, on Monday, I'm going to talk about that as an interesting fact. Like, is it harmful or isn't it harmful? And that kind of thing. But yeah. Now, I just saw, it's a Kickstarter from Creality. They are working on a device for recycling printer poop and old prints you don't want anymore. It grinds them up, and then it creates these pellets, and then the pellets go into a hopper and it heats them up and it makes new filament. But it's a prototype. It's a Kickstarter. I know there's other companies working on this as well, but I can tell you this, as soon as they perfect that technology, and it looks like it could be perfected in the next year, and then once they put it on the market and they put it at a reasonable price, I will buy that. But it's not ready yet, because that would really cut down on a lot of waste with it. So, yeah. What are you beeping at me for, Watch? I have no idea. Let's see. So, yeah. So the Creality printers, the 4 old printers I had, Creality ones, they've all gone to good homes. I no longer have them anymore. In some ways, I miss them. I cut my teeth on some of those in that world, but, no, they're not bamboo. So anyways, they went to good homes, and I hope everybody...
I mean, they were still good.
They were still good, yeah. I wouldn't give anybody something that was broken.
No.
I don't take my trash and dump it on somebody else's doorstep.
Yeah, I know, if it wasn't something that you thought anybody could use,
yeah,
you wouldn't bother giving it to somebody. So no.
So if it brings them joy, I'm happy about that. That is perfectly all right for me. So let's see a few people came in. Adam's here. Hi, Adam. Joanna is here. She says she's late. She'll listen to the replay later. Okay. Melissa's here. Hi, Melissa. Haven't seen you in a while, Melissa. She says, Steven, you seem happier when you do machine embroidery rather than quilting. No, but I do love machine embroidery, as everybody knows. And part of the reason I love machine embroidery, it's a machine. It's kind of like a 3D printer, but in thread, in some ways. No,
it's a 2D printer.
Yeah, I still enjoy quilting, and that. You know, the one thing that's slowing me down on my quilting, and I am changing my focus on quilting, I'm sort of getting a little bit more into designing my own quilts. And, you know, even though my designs are not complex, it's a good exercise in like quilt math, which is hard. But also, you know, the whole process of thinking about design and that kind of thing. And I think that could lead me towards more art quilts, which you've heard me say before. I would kind of like to get my hand into that and try it. My problem is every time I think about it, I talk myself out of it. I kind of freeze up, like, what do I do now with it? And maybe this is sort of my transition from standard patterned quilts, which I still love, but I don't have anywhere to get rid of them. And, you know, nobody in my family wants a damn quilt, basically. We don't have any friends. That. And I don't want to try to sell them because we all know, we've had this discussion many times before, you'll never get what it's worth for it. And donating, well, you know what I've said about the donations. I mean, I'll still do my Quilts of Valor. That's for sure. But the rest of those organizations, they don't deserve a quilt. They don't. I'm sorry. You know, that a lot of these organizations are just, you know, we're taking it, goodbye. So kind of a thing. So yeah, I need to be appreciated because I'm special. Yeah. And don't roll your eyes at that. But you are anyways internally. So yeah, so I think I'm transitioning here into some other, a different aspect of quilting. But yes, I do love machine embroidery. Joanna says it was a nice sew day, lots accomplished. I found the mistake you pointed out while I was quilting. Yeah, okay. I hated to do that to you, Joanna. I felt like a Walter. But it was really kind of obvious. But you want to know something? It's what I said. It's a customization because I don't think you'll be able to correct it because that's almost in the center of your quilt. But you know something? Somebody probably won't notice it. A non-quilter looking at that will never notice it. And if they are a quilter and they're a friend and they point it out to you, they're no longer a good friend. You know, like that. Andy says, I once saw a video about a company that used industrial 3D printers to make tiny homes. They're making full-size homes of them, and they're doing them here in Canada.
Yeah, and there's lots of industrial applications. They have these huge industrial 3D printers that do all kinds of things, not just home.
Not just home, yeah, like the ones that they use in the manufacturing world now, like they're humongous. And they're like hundreds of thousands of dollars for them. And they can actually do 3D printing in metal.
Yeah.
As well, like
and they do things like for dentistry and things like that. Yeah.
And in the health field as well, they actually can print body parts, pieces. Ooh. You know, cultured. Like it is the way of, well, it's not the way of the future. It is the way of now. It really is. We're only a few short steps
and
from
every
a Star
year
Trek. Okay, talk over top of me.
Every year they're refining.
Oh, well, that didn't stop. You did it. Rude.
Yeah.
Fine. Did your mother ever raise any children with manners?
No. I'm Dutch, remember?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Forgot for a moment. Yeah. Anyways. But what was I saying? I don't know. I have no... No, of course you didn't. You ducked over top of me. What more? Anyways, it was something not that important. If I didn't remember, it's not that important. Like, what's his name? Not that important. And that says I put mine in my flower pot.
Poop.
Oh. Oh, because you got some of that. Oh, if you put... Oh, that's kind of a fun idea. That would look very colorful. And, you know, that's a good idea, Inez. I'm not doing it in my flower pots, but it's a good idea. Faith is here. Hi, Faith. Rachel says, I put all surplus 3D prints in my garden, hiding amongst the plants. I like bizarre random stuff hiding in my garden. Okay, so there's sort of a variation on what Inez is saying. The only thing about it, though, when you put it in your garden, they might, under sunlight and water, if it's PLA, PLA is a derivative of cornstarch. So it will break down over time, but it's just a question of how much time. With that, but it's not such a bad idea because it's pretty. Yeah, so
start throwing them underneath the shed.
Skunks will eat them and die. I don't know. Lance says, don't feel bad, we don't have any friends either. Oh, okay. Well, good to know. Well, we'll be your friend, Lance. Will you be my friend? Could you be my friend? Because it's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. Yeah. Okay, so let's get a little serious here right now. Meanwhile, in Canada, okay, so with the war going on, you know what I'm talking about. Of course, the big orange pumpkin thinks that NATO should be, and the NATO countries should all be rallying to his cry to keep the strait open for the gas and everything. And the countries are saying, not our war. And bully for them. Carney has said that too, but now I'm confused. In the reports I'm hearing, it somewhat sounds like Carney is backing down from that, and so are some of the other leaders, except the German leader. They're saying, nine. So, with that. But Carney's not saying specifically. I think what he's doing is he's just making the great orange pumpkin think there's a possibility. I think that's part of Carney's strategy. You know, he's not revealing all his cards. He's waiting to see how the game plays out on the other end, which I think is probably a shrewd way to do it. But it's not our war, and it's also not the American people, the average American citizen's war either. And it's, you know, people are equating it now to Vietnam. And that was very unpopular at its time too. So, yeah, time will tell. Back here at home, about a year ago or so, there was an incident in an underground parking garage in Toronto where a family, husband, wife, I think they had 2 kids, in the car. They were in the underground, and undercover, like plainclothes policemen, threw themselves in front of their car, pulled out guns, and ordered them to stop. Now, the family were people from Middle Eastern descent. These cops were all white guys, and they didn't identify themselves clearly enough. And
didn't identify them as police officers.
No, didn't identify themselves as police officers. I'm still unclear as to why they stopped this family in the first place, but the husband, he panicked. He thought they were being robbed and they're threatened at gunpoint. And he was trying to get away from them. So he kind of backed up his car and he's trying to get out of the parking garage. One of the cops was in front of it and he struck the cop with the car. He did stop. Did that cop die?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. He killed the cop. So now there was a big court case and the whole bit. Well, these cops went to court, but there was supposed to be a review, and the review was done by the organization that is actually we call it the SUV, not the SUV, the SIU, Special Investigations, unit. And they look into anything where cops are, come into conflict with the general public, pull their guns, shoot, whatever, this kind of thing. They did shoot. I think they did shoot. Didn't they shoot? Did they shoot? No, nobody.
No, they didn't shoot.
No, they didn't shoot. So. No. Anyways, long story short, they went to court. The guy who was the victim, or the one that was being charged with everything, he was found not guilty. However, the cops were not found guilty either because of their little review of it all. And the story is that basically the cops got together and created a story that was not the truth.
Yeah.
So this is all a lot of hullabaloo going on here. And, really, on a bigger scheme of things, a lot of people don't trust our police force to start with. And when something like this comes up, it's very easy for people to say, like, who do you trust with this? I mean, this is on the heels of another incident where cops were basically in the drug trade. 7 of them.
Yeah,
And
they captured a bunch of cops.
Yeah.
And they're in Toronto, actually, that were involved in the drug trade and doing illegal things.
yeah. So, I mean, it's anymore, their things are covered up and the whole bit. And no one knows the truth. Well, somebody knows the truth, but it's not coming out to the public. So that's right there. And of course, our premier, Doug Ford, is supporting them.
Mm-hmm.
He says, no, they risk their life every day and on the line. Yeah, no one's questioning that. That's their job. Okay. What they're questioning is, are they doing things that are illegal?
Mm-hmm.
I still don't know why they stopped this guy. I think it was mistaken identity or something. They were looking for somebody else and figured this guy. But he's got kids in the car.
Yeah, a wife and a stroller and everything else.
Yeah. Are these kids not going to be affected by this? Oh, yes, they are. They're going to be in therapy for the rest of their life, as well as the husband and the wife and the whole bit. Welcome to Canada. I don't know if they were recent immigrants or what, but yeah, Canada the good. That doesn't give us a good reputation. So on the heels of all of this, however, another guy, there were real thugs, came to their house, did a home invasion. The owner of the house, the husband, he had a gun and he shot at them and scared them. He didn't hit anybody, I don't think, or he might have wounded once.
Well, you should get your facts right when you're.
Well, you try and follow these stories because
you should look at that. Anyway, so go ahead. So it's all hearsay now.
He's so much fun. Anyways, I'm old. I forget things. What do you want? What the
You write it down. You should write it down.
I did write, but you keep cutting in and not let me get to it. Anyways, the whole point is he was defending his family, his house. He did not get charged, that guy. However, there was some debate whether or not he should be charged because, well, the gun, first of all, was legal. And he had it stored properly. They investigated. I mean, we can have guns in Canada, but they have to, usually they are for hunting. They're not they're not Uzis or anything like that, or, handguns. And they're registered, licensed, and everything like that. We do not have the same gun laws that the Americans have. We do not have a right to bear arms in our human rights code or constitution, that kind of thing. But our premier, in his great wisdom, he gets up and he says, and I'll show you the headline here. He says, should have shot him a couple of more times. Ford congratulates the person who shot alleged Ontario home invader. In some ways, I kind of agree with him. In terms of, he was defending his family. These people were armed. They came in. What would one do, with it? I mean, most of us don't have guns. This guy did. But, this opens up a whole new can of worms. When is it self-defense and when is it vigilante kind of a thing? Someone could have been trying to get into their house in the middle of the night or something who was not armed, and they could have been killed. I mean, yes, it's illegal what they're trying to do, but you never know. Sometimes people are trigger happy too. And now there's a new call for pepper spray. Pepper spray is outlawed in our country. You can't have pepper spray. Although, from what I've heard on certain reports, some people, especially ladies, buy it on Amazon or whatever and keep it in their purse. Well, we can understand why that might be. If they're out and it's late at night, they're coming from a club or some social engagement or something, there's undesirables out there that, so ladies need to defend themselves because, it's a horrible situation. But it's outlawed. And now there is a cry from Ford and from other organizations to our federal government, because it's a federal law that governs that, to make pepper spray legal. On the one hand, yeah, I can see, like I said, women out at night kind of a thing, coming home from something. Yeah, they need some defense. I could see it within our own community, in the LGBT community. I mean, there are still people out there that will do gay bashing and whatnot. And we don't go around carrying baseball bats or anything like that. So, yeah. But on the other hand, it could be used. I think the cops don't want it because someone could use it on a cop.
Or you could use it to hold up a convenience store.
Yes,
or like that.
if it becomes legal, it means it'll become more readily available, and there's all that. So it's not an easy question, but Ford makes it seem like it's very cut and dry. Well, we should have this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think we should have it so that we could shoot him.
Yeah, spray down Ford. That would be a good thing too. But he is advocating, it says, for the rights of residents to protect their homes, explicitly encouraging legal gun owners to defend themselves against intruders, and endorsing the use of firearms in such scenarios.
So does that mean every homeowner needs to have a gun?
Well, it's a slippery slope, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, in Canada, we already have groups and people saying that our gun laws are not strict enough. And now he's going right against that. Mm-hmm. Loosen them up so everybody can kill whoever wants. He praises the key stances he has is he praises for armed defense. He congratulated the Vaughan homeowner who shot a masked intruder during a home invasion, stating, "Congratulations for shooting this guy. Should have shot him a couple of more times," like the headline I just showed you. He supports something called the castle law, which we do not have a castle law in Canada. The United States, in certain states of the United States, they have something called a castle law, which basically says you have the right to defend your home, your property, in pretty much including using lethal force for it. And then there's the shoot to protect advocacy. Ford has argued that if someone breaks into a home and threatens a family, the homeowner should be able to use any means necessary to protect them. He added that robbers need to be shot. Well, yes, we might think that as a gut reaction, but then we have to, think about it from a more civilized point of view. Okay, robber comes in, may not be armed with a gun, may just come in and do intimidation, might have a knife. Well, what's the first thing the cops tell you to do? Don't get in their way. Just let them take. You can replace possessions. You can't replace the life of members of your family. So, but he's saying, yeah, kill them any way you can. And of course, he criticizes the bail system. Well, I agree with that. Ford has strongly criticized weak-kneed judges in the federal bail system, arguing it protects bad guys and leads to higher instances of home invasion. Well, that's an ongoing problem now.
What happens is that people get convicted of something like car theft or something, and then they just take them in and give them bail, and they pay the bail and go out and recommit.
Yeah. So that is a problem in our legal system. Okay, what's going on here? And it needs to be reformed. But here's the counterpart to it. If you put everybody in jail who does something and don't give them bail, the jails are overfull overflowing right now. You're going to have to build more jails. And then you have to hire more people to maintain those jails, prison guards and things like that. So yeah, it's not a cut and dry kind of situation in that case. And the other thing too is they do need to look at the laws on probation, because a lot of these crimes, violent crimes, are committed by violent offenders who have offended already once or twice, and they're out on probation and they're still doing it. So that needs to be tightened up too. So on that part, I kind of agree with him.
I think they should send them to an ice flow up in northern Canada.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. Put them on an iceberg somewhere. Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, so Andy says, have you made any gnomes for your garden? No, I refuse to have my gnomes in gardens. That's just asking for trouble.
Besides that, they're not that big,
No.
so you can't really make one.
Well, I actually could make a big one now with the one, but
yeah.
I'm not doing that. And Rachel says, oh, I remember you saying that. Could coat them with yacht varnish.
Oh.
Yeah, or there's a clear spray you can get. I did it with the nutcrackers I made at Christmas time. They were really big, and I gave them a couple of coats of this weatherproofing spray that you can buy from what's the name of that company? Cryon.
Yeah.
Mary says, I'm pretty mad that he didn't confer with anyone. He just did it.
Oh, that's Trump.
Oh, Trump. Yeah, I know. It's supposed to be Congress that has the right to decide on that. He didn't bother, but does he ever bother? No, he just does what he wants.
And they let him do it. So
yeah.
Bear spray.
How about bear spray? Yeah, actually, they were talking about that because bear spray is legal, and yeah, so that's an alternative.
Yeah, but I don't know if I care if bears won't.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think you should have the right to protect your home and family. I think you should have the right. Yes, I agree. But that brings up the whole question, and I have it here.
Should we have guns, though?
But yeah, how lethal should the protection be? Baseball bats can be very effective, but then never bring a knife to a gunfight.
If the guys have guns. I mean, that's one of the problems in Canada is that regular people don't have guns, but thugs have them.
Yeah, and they're illegal.
And they're illegal guns.
They're getting them from wherever. South of the border, kind of a thing. But yeah, let's see what else is all right. Mary says Kansas has a castle law. Okay, but we don't have a castle law in Canada. And there's been incidents where people have been home invasion and have basically hurt the invader,
and then end up in court.
They get charged. The courts do not favor victims; they favor the thugs. And that's something else that needs to be changed. And a lot of these ones that are doing home invasions right now are young people. Young as like 14, 13 years of age, they get involved in gangs.
And then we have this thing in Canada where it's a youth act where as soon as
Young Offenders
Act, when someone under the age of was 18.
No, under the age of 18. There's different levels of it.
But they're not allowed to publish their name or anything
like that. And they oftentimes, depending on what the crime is, they don't go necessarily to jail, to regular prison. They may go to like a juvenile, what they used to call juvenile.
So what we have people, undesirable people, older people recruiting younger people to do the crimes because they know that they can't be held accountable.
Yeah, and so they get involved in this for quick money, of course. These may be kids who are homeless, or they're kids that, have a bad situation where they live or whatever. And so they're easy to suck in because they're going to make a few bucks if they do this. And yeah, so the Young Offenders Act needs to be reviewed. It needs to be updated. A 14-year-old, I don't care. They're not innocent. I taught 14-year-olds and 15 and 16 and 17 and 18. And those kids are very much aware of what they're doing. They do know what they are doing is wrong. And they're making unwise decisions, unwise choices, but nevertheless, they're making them for whatever reason they're making them. And they have to learn there are consequences to these actions. And slapping them on the wrist and saying, you bad boy, do 100 hours of community service and promise you'll never do that again. Oh no, Judge, I will never do that again. Next week, they're right back out there stealing another car or invading another home. So, yeah. Now, it says something about our society, too, that we do not have in place, or enough of it in place, support systems for young people, because obviously they are in doing these crimes because there's other things in their background that have scarred them or damaged them emotionally, psychologically.
Or they come from homes, or they don't have a home.
They don't have they don't have a good, they don't have parental units that are good examples for them, or things like that. Yeah, but we need to invest more money into our social services and into our mental health community and things like that to help not just kids, lots of people, because let's face it, if you're going to commit a crime, there's something wrong. Somewhere the system has failed you with that. So there needs to be many more resources put into place for that. And of course, that costs money. So every time we talk money, in government, well, they'd rather spend that money on, private jet flights around the world, or, fancy dinners or whatever. So, yeah. Let's see here. I guess Mary's got to go off to basketball tourney. Oh yeah, it's March Madness, isn't it, or something?
Yeah.
In the States. I don't pretend I understand what that really is. Bunch of boys banging their balls on the floor. I don't know. Whatever gets you. So other things too about all this that made me think of some stuff. Do you, as an individual, feel safe in your own home and in your surrounding community? Do we feel safe?
Relatively.
We live in a good neighborhood. We lock our door like everybody else at night. But I don't really, when we go out, you go out at night for a walk.
Yeah, I haven't really run.
Are you afraid of being raped?
No.
Oh. Do you hope to be raped?
No. When I went out for my walk last night, it was late, and I ran into two people, I think. But I didn't.
Were they armed?
No.
No. But when I walk around the neighborhood or here, even in our own city.
Well, the only thing I get worried about is that stupid dog that lives on
Oh, well, yeah, the dog. That horrible thing that's at one end that would eat you. You can be a two-bite brownie.
Everyone knows how to behave like a decent human being. Oh, I have close friends that had horrible upbringings, and they are some of the nicest, well-rounded people I've ever met.
Well, it can go that way.
Yeah.
It's not to say because somebody came from a horrible background that they obviously had an internal strength to break away from
overcome
that and not let that dictate their life. And there are lots of people like that with it. But what I'm saying is we need to put more money into our resources to help people that need this help with it. Like drugs is a big thing. People who have, to escape their horrible situation will turn to drugs. And our premier, he is removing all of the licensed injection sites around
and the drug support systems.
Yeah, he's getting rid of that. Well, and he said, what's he got in place of that?
No.
To help? Nothing. No. Just so, yeah. Inez says, I do not a lot of things going on here. Don't lock doors at day. Never locked my car anytime. Yeah.
Well, that's living on the rock.
On the rock in Newfoundland.
In our area, we do have to. Well, no, we do lock our doors regularly.
Well, there are parts of our city
and
that I wouldn't want to walk through at night.
Yeah, and yeah, we should have to lock our cars because there are cars that are stolen in our area on a regular basis. So
that's why he kicked my car to the curb and put his in the
I
garage.
put my car in the garage.
Mine, it didn't matter if they stole it. Well, they
I
wouldn't want
get a
it.
community watch listing, and there's usually one or that every 2 weeks, and there's usually one or two cars that are in our vicinity that get stolen. And there's mostly there assaults.
Yeah.
There's the the odd break and enter, but most of it's assaults.
Yeah. Inez says I locked mine in Toronto. Well, yeah. Yeah, I definitely would be doing that too. In Toronto. Well, any big city, you know that you're going to have some problems. Every big city or very large town has their bad areas, so you know enough usually to stay away from that.
There's an area in our city that I wouldn't want to walk through at night.
Yeah. So do you think we should have the ability to have lethal force, that they should mandate that?
Not at the moment, no.
No, I don't think so either, because I think that opens up a whole can of worms.
Yeah, I think that causes a lot of problems. So.
Well, also amongst kids. I mean, you take a look at school shootings and all that kind of stuff. We don't have a lot of that in Canada, but we've had it.
Yeah.
And Tumbler Ridge. So
for all of the good or the positive things that can occur by having that that ability to do that, it is easily misused.
Well, yeah. And again, you go back to younger people. Younger people seem anymore, not all of them, but they seem to be very angry. They seem to fly off the handle at anything. I blame it on social media. Social media has given a false sense of entitlement to young people who think that if they don't get their way immediately, the way to get what they want is to resort to more violent behavior. Can range from, yelling, insults, shouting at the top of their voice, that kind of thing, to theft, to actual physical violence. So that's not good. I mean, for years, people have talked about the effects of video games and television on young people. There's been many, many, many studies over the last 50 years about the effects of all these kind of things on young people and whatnot. And, it's still not conclusive. You have the ones that say, yes, violence seen in the media and that leads to violence in young people. Others say, no, it does not. I don't know, but I think, if anything, it desensitizes people to violence. I mean, turn on the TV at night or your streaming service. What are the most popular shows on TV? Cops and robbers. They're pulling out guns. They're hiding behind barrels, shooting at each other. All this kind of stuff. Well, you see that enough, you start to think, yeah, no, this isn't real life, kind of a thing. You become desensitized to the whole fact that you could take somebody's life with it. And, young people can be impressionable. So I think it plays a big part on there. And that could be the thing that turns them a little bit. I don't know. There is no direct answer to this or right answer.
Yeah, Donna's she lives in a great neighborhood. However, Oshawa is changing fast.
Yes. She says she's installed cameras after neighbors have had a car break-in. She has younger people. Yeah. And I think most homes now have some form of camera. If it's a Ring doorbell like we have, and we have several of them, or regular, right there, the full-fledged, you can get them at Costco, a whole surveillance system. It seems to be the way.
Yeah, it's at least we able to see the skunks walk through our backyard.
That's right.
So.
Yeah, and when he's talking about skunks, he means four-legged kinds, and that. But yeah, people are starting to have a fortress mentality. They're starting to barricade themselves. Like surveillance cameras are a type of barricade, because you can That's why when you see it, you go on YouTube, you see tons of things that Ring cameras capture, and these home invasions things. They all, of course, are wearing face masks because they are aware of the fact that you probably have a surveillance system. And, the whole idea is to get in and get out fast and nobody detect you. They always wear black. They're always driving a black SUV. Every
or a white
report,
one.
or white, well, yeah, whatever. But, like that kind of thing. There's a guy in our neighborhood. It's the one we've talked about before who has a dog that will eat you for sure. And I'm not kidding. This dog, some kid.
Well, it almost tried to attack me.
Yeah, some kid or somebody's going to get seriously damaged by this dog because he is on a huge, thick chain. And the guy, when he's
if
walking,
the dog
can
ever
hardly...
gets out,
Yeah.
I mean, it will eat somebody.
But his house is barricaded. He has walls around it. He has fencing, like wrought iron fencing, and the whole bit. He is definitely an example of a fortress mentality in there. Now, we suspect he comes from South Africa. And apparently, that is what you will find there. A lot of people have their homes, it's
with guard dogs.
Guard dogs, high fences, everything like that. But it definitely stands out like a sore thumb in our neighborhood because, he's the only one that has that kind of thing. And this dog, I mean, our neighborhood's a good neighborhood.
But I do worry about walking by there. I've walked by there before where the dog is really barking at me. And he's been out walking, and a couple of weeks ago the dog lunged at me, so
yeah. And Inez says, I hate to say younger people because they are not all alike. However, too much violence in their lives. Yes, it is. But let's not be Pollyannas here and have a bleeding heart. As you know, I taught high school. There are truly evil children. And we're not saying that to be funny or sarcastic. There are ones that are truly evil. And I can make all the excuses in the world for why they are evil, but the fact is they are evil, and they are the ones that need to be made to realize what the consequences are of their actions. And I go back to the Young Offenders Act and to the probation laws and things like that. They are not learning from that. And they're not, and even in the school system, we try to direct troubled youth to resources, but sometimes that helps and works. A lot of times, no. It's just because there's other factors there, like lack of a home life that is stable and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of factors that contribute to it. But I'm not going to pretend that there are not evil young people. There are. And they are also ones who know what they are doing is against the mores of a civilized society too. And they have made a decision. So I'm not going to waste my time crying over those ones. They need to have the full brunt of the law brought down upon them. And just because they're young should never be used as an excuse for really horrible, violent behavior where you have people that are victims of this from them. So yeah. Chris says Trinidad is like that too. And Rachel says, I was stopped at some traffic lights. 6 young kids stood in front of the car, clearly thinking they were going to take my car. I saw red. I swore at them and revved the car and said, I will not stop. Yeah, you see, but if you had hit one of those kids, Rachel, depending on where you live in your area or whatever, if that was here in Ontario and I revved the car engine and I plowed through those kids and hurt or killed one of them, I would be the one that would be charged. Those kids would be seen as victims.
Yeah.
By the existing laws. So, yeah. And Rachel says, they moved and tried to kick my car. I slammed brakes on. They all dispersed at that point. They probably thought I'd lost my mind. Well, sometimes to be a crazy person in a car does act as a deterrent. Sometimes.
Andy says, part of the problem is that the kids are not learning consequences from their parents.
I agree
Exactly.
100% with you, Andy. I always bring it back, and I know some people hate to do this, hate this, but I always do. You show me an evil child, I will show you bad parenting. Because children, and you've heard me say this before, children are not born evil. They're a blank slate. Evil behavior is a learned behavior. And who are their first teachers? Their parents. And we can make all the excuses in the world why those parents might be bad parents. But nevertheless, they were, and there are consequences to their bad parenting, and the result is what's happening to their children and how their children behave. So, yeah. So let's see. So we're talking about the fortress mentality. What could that lead to down the road for society? Well, vigilante justice, you know. I mean, we already have Crime Stoppers. Now, people aren't pulling out guns in Crime Stoppers, they're snitching. They shouldn't be seen as snitching. They're being responsible citizens, and they are calling in, you know, if you see something, say something idea. You hear that all the time.
Actually, I heard that in Britain when we were there.
Yep.
See something, say
Say
something,
something.
and get it sorted.
Yeah. So, you know, but people don't want to snitch, or they're afraid they're going to get into trouble. Well, Crime Stoppers is anonymous. But then there's community watch groups, you know, and okay, that can lead to, and I'm sorry for those of you that have the name Karen, that could lead to the Karen style mentality. You know, they go a little overboard, say, they're having people over that I've never seen before. They're probably planning a crime. I'm going to call the cops. You know, that kind of thing. So it can be definitely abused. But I don't think there's anything wrong with, you know, we go out for walks all the time. If we saw something suspicious, like really, you know, then you have to debate, is it enough to report this or shouldn't we, you know?
I mean, just because somebody's having a party doesn't...
Yeah, it doesn't mean like that, but you know what I mean. I mean, if they're having a party and it spills out on the street and they're, a bunch of them are like half drunk out of their minds and they're banging on cars or punching in windows or something, well, I think that would call for reporting, you know, that kind of thing. I mean, there's a fine line. So, yeah. So what other means could we use? Well, you ever see the movie The Purge? No, I don't think that's the way to go with it. But there is a point in The Purge. Violence sometimes happens because somebody explodes. And right now we have a world that's very explosive. You know, people are frustrated. People are angry. And if you don't have an outlet for those kind of thoughts and that, you might go off the deep end and do something that normally you wouldn't do. And that thing you're doing is probably going to have a victim involved and is probably going to be violent too. So, yeah, you got to think about that. I mean, the whole idea behind the purge was everybody got those feelings out one night of the year where it was illegal to kill anybody. Yeah, I don't think we want to go there at all. Pretty sure we don't. Isolationism. I mean, I remember as a kid on the street, my parents talked to all the neighbors. They had block parties. They went to this. Neighbors were in and out. My mother was over to somebody's place for coffee all the time. It was a different time. Now, you know, I said earlier I don't have any friends. Well, people don't make friends that easily anymore because we're suspicious of everybody. And that's where we've gone with all of this. You know, and then we hear reports of where somebody innocently was helping somebody else and became a victim of it all. So, fortress mentality, isolationism, vigilantism, those could be all to certain degrees.
Andy says she prefers horses and
so
dogs.
for dogs, yeah. I prefer cats, but you know, animal of your choice.
Skunks.
Yeah, skunks. Yeah. Well, they're cute little stinkers. I think we've already talked about community watch and that, but I think as communities, we need to take more of a stand. I mean, after all, we have elected officials at our city council level at that. And most of the time, most people don't even know who sits on their council. And they go, well, whatever, that's just politics. They just do the same old thing. I think, if you want to have a safe community and there's something that you feel very strongly with, I think you need to go to a council meeting. I think you need to get on the roster to speak. I mean, you need to mobilize your neighbors and things like that. If it's something, let the council know you're not happy, because after all, they are elected. So if they want to get in again, and usually they always do, then they want to keep their constituents happy. So, but we don't. We all become very complacent about it and go, well, somebody else will do it or whatever. I think there needs to be, and this is very controversial right now, I think we need more video surveillance on our streets. And I welcome face recognition software. I know that is a hot topic. People say it's an invasion of their privacy and the whole bit. If you have nothing to hide, in my feeling is, then why should you fear face recognition surveillance? We're already being surveilled. We have been for years. People always fall back on this whole privacy thing. Well, you know something? If you're doing something that you don't want anybody else to know, you have to question why you're doing it, too. Is it just because you'd be mildly embarrassed, or is it because it's something illegal? There are degrees to all of this. So I welcome face recognition technology. I think there should be more cameras on street poles all over. It's a shame we have to go that route, but we are going that route. I mean, there's no two ways about it. So I think we need to embrace it, because there's no turning back. And that says, that's the one thing I found hard on mainland, was not speaking to people as I meet them on the street. And that's because when I started doing walking, because Walter made me feel guilty that I wasn't, I would pass people that I was going by, and suddenly you get the head down mentality. They put their head down, you put your head down. It's like there's something very interesting at your feet you got to watch for, kind of a deal. I decided I'm going to stop doing that. When I pass somebody, when I'm on my walk, even if they're not looking at me because they've got the head down mentality, I will say, good morning. They may or may not answer. Creepy guy was out the other day. Yeah, he did it again. He couldn't avoid me. We passed each other. I said, good morning.
Yeah, it's a guy that walks in
Said
our
nothing.
neighborhood, and if you say hi to him, he doesn't acknowledge you. And he doesn't seem to be wearing headphones either. So
No, he's just creepy guy. We call him creepy guy. But anyways, I'll always make a point of saying hello to him. There was one lady, Inga, an older lady, well, in her 90s. I've talked about her before. I haven't seen her for a while. I'm a little worried about her. I decided, I passed her all the time, and she would move over on the sidewalk and get when I was coming. And I said to her, you don't have to move over. There's plenty of room for the two of us. And I decided one day I was going to stop and I was going to ask her what her name was and introduce myself and talk to her. And so she became, we were both walking at about the same time. And so every time I saw Inga, we would have a little conversation with it. And she was telling me that she's been walking for years and she has lived in this subdivision as long as we have. And she says things have changed. She said she used to go out. There was a regular group she'd see all the time, and they were out walking and passing each other, and they would talk and they would chat. And she says that doesn't happen much anymore. Of course, she also said that some of them are dead. So they were older. So that could be a problem. But yeah. So, and I think too, if you do stop and you talk to somebody in your area, I mean, I don't recommend doing this on a city street in downtown Toronto, because you don't know what kind of reaction you're going to get there. But in your own neighborhood, I think it creates an atmosphere where people start to look out for one another. Like when you go away, like I said, when we go away, our neighbors look after things here. When they go away, we keep an eye on their place as well. So here's a scenario for Walter. Let's say we got a home invasion. We're in bed at night. It's 2 a.m. They break into our house. What would you do?
Hide in the closet, phone 911. Don't know.
I don't know either. But it has made me think with these things that it might be a good idea to invest in a metal baseball bat and have it right close to the bed. But if they have a gun, never go to a gun with a baseball bat. I don't know. I think I'd freeze. I don't know what I would do. But I've seriously thought about this question. On the one hand, I'd already said, is it worth your life? If they take some possessions, you can replace those. It's not worth your life. But I know my sister, quite a few years ago, they were away. Someone broke into their house and took a few things. And my sister was upset about that for a long time. She said she felt like they had been invaded.
They've been violated.
Violated. A stranger had been in the house. And, it's one thing to say, okay, well, good thing you weren't there and it was only a few things that are replaceable, it's not your lives or anything. But on the other hand, yeah, they were invaded, they were violated within that feeling. And she still has that feeling.
I've had that where accidentally in my old car, I left it unlocked on the driveway.
Yeah.
And somebody went in and rifled through my car and I felt invaded.
Yep. So, so these little scenarios that we hear in the news in neighborhoods that are not necessarily ours, that happen to somebody else, look on the bigger scale, the world scale. These same little behaviors are the same behaviors we're seeing now in a war. The whole bit. People wanting to have power over other people or maintain their power. Or they're fighting over because there's ideological differences. Let's face it. What are the two root causes of violence in our world on a political scale or whatever country scale? Two things. Money, religion. We get rid of both of those things, we'd have less of this problem. If everybody had exactly what they needed to have a decent life, that would eliminate the money problem. If everybody were allowed to practice what they believe without imposing it upon another group of people or whatever, or thinking they're absolutely right, in other words, if it was just spirituality, not organized religion, think about it. John Lennon wasn't wrong when he wrote the song Imagine in that. So we're going to finish up here. Inez says she speaks to everyone. Rachel says, when I was little, I lived in a tiny village, 35 or 40 houses. We didn't dare misbehave. Any of the adults saw us misbehaving, they would smack our backsides regardless of whose child we were. I grew up in early part of my life until I was 11 years old in a little small community like that. Exactly. Everybody knew what everybody else was doing. You didn't lock your doors at night and that. But that is idyllic. The world isn't like that anymore, unfortunately. Dana's here. Hi, Dana. Debbie says, our society is making it necessary to have more surveillance. Yep, very true. Dana says, when I walk past someone, I'm smiling. They often smile back. And hopefully they're not mistaking your smile as being that of a crazy person. No, Dana, that's right. Yeah, I always do that too. Creepy guy always has a scowl on his face.
When I first started walking, I used to say hi to people, but then I realized a lot of people were wearing headphones, so they don't.
Yeah. But sometimes those people wearing the headphones, they'll mouth it. They realize that you read your lips, kind of a thing. Rachel says electric cattle prod. That's fun. Yeah. Boom, boom. Chris says, my home was robbed and I too felt violated. They also shit in the middle of the living room. Oh,
that's not nice.
That's not just robbery. That's vandalism. That almost.
Yeah. Well, I was a neighbor. I used to live in a different area. before I met Steve, and the neighbor was robbed, and they basically damaged stuff inside the house, like appliances and things like that.
Those crimes, this may be a stereotype, but oftentimes when you hear about those kind of crimes, they are done by young people.
It was, I think, a young person. That did
And those young people have
issues.
Yeah, anger issues. And no one's teaching them how to do anger management. Dana says, if we haven't met yet, they don't know how crazy I really am. Can I list the ways, Dana? No. And Colleen's here. Hi, Colleen. So anyways, yep, that was today. I don't have any comments from the past week to talk about here. So, but keep those comments coming. Love the comments. Really do. Besides, it gives me fodder for stuff to present here. So anyways, thanks everybody for coming today and listening to us and participating and everything, and check out all the videos next week. And yeah, anything you want to say?
Nope.
I'm surprised you let me even get that out without cutting me off, but whatever. Yeah, smile that wicked smile. Okay, so everybody, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you next week.